Good morning, everybody. Mr. Ashish Shah, Mr. Rajneesh Kumar, Mr. Sarapati, Mr. Kannan, Mr. Chinan, distinguished members of the banking fraternity, industry, media. I'm extremely happy to be here on this 17th edition of the FIBAC. I know that this is a flagship event of these two organizations, and when industry and the banking association join together, I think it generates a lot of interesting discussions, results in what we call outcomes that will be beneficial to both the sides, because I think both are complementary to each other. The MSME sector plays an important role in any economy, and India is no exception. Recognizing this important role of MSME to the economy, whether as providers of employment, generators of export receivables for the country, Reserve Bank and government have taken several affirmative measures over the last several years. Among them, of course, is MSME has a specific target in the priority sector lending, and with a view to ensuring that the larger among the MSMEs do not crowd out the smaller, there is a sub-target for the smaller entities. We have licensed a large number of small finance banks with a mandate to have 75% of their advances to priority sector. And if you see, many of those that have graduated to be small finance banks are NBFCs which were already lending to MSMEs, and we would want to bring that expertise to the banking sector. To supplement that, we also brought out this priority lender certificate system, which would enable the banks to specialize in the areas that they are good at and sell the priority sector lending certificates to a short, which we believe would result in overall increase in the priority sector lending, including MSME. Delays in recovery of receivables is one of the issues that that the MSMEs among others face, which is why RBI has introduced threats, to enable them to realize the receivables even during the time. Saurabh mentioned about strengthening the credit bureau. We have taken several measures in that direction. Some of the issues in terms of expanding the kind of data that gets into the credit bureau requires certain legal amendments, and that will be work in progress. There was this mention about formalization of the MSME sector. We realize it's very important for them to formalize, both for their own sake as also from the point of view of financial stability. And because of that, in fact, we gave 2 rounds of relaxations. Initially, for those who were registered under the GST, we gave an elongated period for recognition of delinquency. We extended that again for another 6 months, this time covering even those who were not registered, but with an incentive to get registered under the GST, because we believe that that formalization will, as I said, help them get credit at better prices than if they are not in the formal sector. The February 12 circular on resolution framework specifically excludes the MSME sector with exposure up to 25 crores from the framework, whether it is in terms of restructuring, etc. But the problems in the MSME sector are not just financial alone. So there are several other areas that they need support from. But at the same time, as brought out in a recent paper published by RBI, the credit to MSME sector has clocked a healthy growth. I think that even Saurav's paper showed. Bank advances to MSME sector has clocked an impressive year-on-year growth of 8.9% during the first quarter of 18-19, reaching a level that was seen in the first quarter of 15-16, indicating that the credit flow to the sector has turned robust. In fact, during the first quarter of 18-19, the growth in overall advances from banks, non-bank finance companies, etc., to the MSME firms with loan size below 10 lakhs and between 10 lakhs and 50 lakhs has risen by over 30% and 20%. Again, I think the point which corroborates what Saurav found, that there is a credit growth for the smaller among the MSME segment. And I think this is driven by several facts. Number one, again, one saw in the data that there is an increasing financial inclusion happening through the NBFC sector. As I said, the foray being made by the small finance banks. And third, enabled by fintech and artificial intelligence, even the traditional banks are now in a position and are showing an intent to lend to this segment because they have the ability to follow. And I think something again which Mr. Rajneesh Kumar mentioned is very important as part of the overall lending process. So I believe that the topic, that the theme that has been chosen for this FIBAC edition is very, very appropriate, very, very timely, and I'm sure, as has been, the usual outcomes of FIBAC, there will be very productive deliberations and outcomes that will benefit both the banking and the MSME sector. But when I went through the various topics that this conference covers, it spans the entire gamut of banking. Of course, there's quite a bit of sessions on MSME, but it covers several other elements of banking. So as a regulator, I wanted to speak on one of the elements of the post-crisis reforms that the Financial Stability Board and BCB has brought in, on which not much has been spoken about. And this is about the whole regulations relating to the systemically important financial institutions, or what you call as the too big to fail institution regulations. The post-Great Recession reforms undertaken by the FSB and the Basel Committee on Banking Supervision entailed a few major strands. One, strengthening the financial resilience of banks by seeking higher quantity and better quality capital. The better quality capital was sought by requiring a larger proportion of what is called as common equity tier 1 in the banks. And there were also various additional buffers in the form of what you call as capital conservation buffer and counter-cyclical capital buffer, which are intended to increase the capital and what you call strengthen the resilience of banks and make the capital itself less pro-cyclical than what it was under Basel II. Second, there was this move towards reduction of model risk, because one of the problems during the crisis was that model risk, which many of the banks adopted in terms of the advanced approaches, created this problem of undercapitalization. And therefore, reduction in model risk by moving towards more of standardized approaches, mandatory standardized approaches, and even strengthening the standardized approaches themselves. Then, of course, an important element that was not there in the Basel regulations in the past was on liquidity risk. In fact, I used to boast wherever I go in the Basel committee that India had seen this, our legislators had seen it long, long ago, and had even 1949 prescribed the liquidity or statutory liquidity ratio. And it took so many years for the international banking community to understand that liquidity is the fulcrum of banking system. And of course, they brought in the liquidity coverage ratio and the net stable funding ratio. Of course, as any banking system would require, they wanted the risk sensitivity of various measures to improve, and at the same time also had what is called as a leverage ratio, so that one cannot build a large balance sheet with low capital by using what is called as low risk weight assets, which could turn high risk weight assets over a period of time. And of course, last but not the least was dealing with the systemically large financial institutions, because the inadequate resilience of the large institutions to deal with crisis and the disproportionate contagion effect they could lead to was exposed during the crisis. So let me dwell a bit on this, on the last part. So what is a systemically important financial institution? A systemically important financial institution is a large financial services provider which is highly connected with the rest of the financial system. A city is identified based on multiple parameters, namely size, interconnectedness, substitutability, complexity, and of course cross-jurisdictional activity. So when all these are there and an entity has a large cross-jurisdictional activity, then it becomes what is called as a globally systemically important financial institution. Where it is not so, such a large entity would be what is called as a domestically systemically important bank or a financial institution. So what are the elements of regulation of a GCB? It had 4 elements. Number 1, higher capital buffer. So if a regular bank had to keep X% capital, if it is a SIFI, it had to keep X plus Y. Y being the surcharge for being systemically important. Second, it had to have what is called as total loss absorbing capacity. See, the whole thing came in the context of some of the larger banks in the West failing, requiring bail-in by the governments. So the idea was that public money should not be used, and therefore the banks should themselves have the capacity to absorb the loss, and therefore the balance sheet had to have certain liabilities that could be used to absorb losses. And of course they should have resolvability, and of course higher supervisory expectations. So the higher capital buffers. Systemically important banks are required to keep additional capital so that their likelihood of failure reduces. Additional capital requirement is calibrated in a manner such that expected impact of failure residues and a reference to norms is equal. Return on risk-weighted assets and Merton models are used to assess additional capital requirement that will result in decrease in the probability of default and the expected impact of systemically important bank with reduced. As per the assessment, BCB has concluded that systemically important banks with higher score would require to keep 2.5% additional CET1. And in fact, there's one range where normally they keep it unfilled, because the idea is if you go there, the capital surcharge becomes even higher. So there is a disincentive to grow, and therefore you keep one bucket higher. But if you go there, it is 3.5% additional surcharge. Otherwise, it is 2.5%. The second, of course, is total loss absorption capacity. The GCB framework mainly focuses on reducing likelihood of failure. Another key aspect of the reform is to ensure orderly resolution in case a large interconnected complex institution fails. The TLAC, as it is known, is used for this purpose. The premise of the TLAC standard is that GCBs should have sufficient resources to absorb losses and be capitalized if they fail. The availability of these resources is intended to allow an orderly resolution of GCBs where financial stability is maintained and the risk of exposing taxpayers to loss is minimized. Resolution in this context means the restructuring of a failed GCB so as to allow its official functions to continue while potentially winding down other parts of the business. This is achieved by establishing a minimum requirement for financial instruments held on the balance sheets that are readily available to absorb losses. Or this is not just capital. I'm saying these are instruments which are not capital but have the ability to absorb losses in the event of the failure. So there are various timelines. I don't want to go into the detail for the sake of time. I'll put this out to the RBI website in a day or two so you can go through that. There are different timelines for the banks to achieve these TLAC requirements depending upon at what time you have been notified as a GSIB. This last part is the what you call as the complexity. The complexity of a GSIB is something that keeps worrying the financial regulators. So one of the things that the FSB talks of, or the too big to fail regulation talks of, is that there must be a framework for orderly resolution of a large complex bank. This must be achieved by a financial resolution authority, as well as requiring the too big to fail banks to prepare a living will containing a framework for orderly winding down of some of the operations of the banks while retaining the core functions. The last element of the GSIB framework is what is called as higher supervisory expectations. Obviously, when you are a systemically important bank, there are higher supervisory expectations, and these expectations cover several areas, which include obviously what is called as risk management function, risk data aggregation capabilities, and risk governance and internal control. So these are of an elevated requirement, elevated level of expectations as far as the GSIBs are concerned. Obviously, no framework remains cast in stone. They need to be reviewed. So the BCBS has reviewed the framework for GSIBs, and certain changes have been brought about in that. I will of course explain that in my written speech, which I will be putting out in public domain again for the sake of time. Let me just come to the Indian context. In India, we do not have a GSIB board. There are 30 GSIBs. In India, we don't have a GSIB, but we have what is called as 3 domestically systemically important banks, which again adopts the framework for GSIBs to determine the banks. And of course, what I'm saying is not secret. They're all put out in the public domain. We actually do not use, of course, the what you call global interconnectedness, because this is domestic, systemically important bank that we're looking at. So size is an important element in determining that. And in India, we have 3 GSIBs, State Bank in the top, and ICICI Bank and HDFC Bank. Again, these are in the public domain. And because of their size, the additional capital required for them varies depending upon their size. So as of now, SBI requires a higher size as opposed to the other 2 banks. Obviously, we have moved to what is called as risk-based supervision as part of the supervisory process from the earlier system of camels. The risk-based supervision goes into what is called as what are the current risks that the bank faces, what are the control gaps that are there, and whether and what are the steps needed to close those control gaps so that the bank is able to address the risk. So this has been, in fact, the supervisory system that RBI has put in place has been lauded as one of the most modern, both by IMF and World Bank, and we intend to keep continuing to improve this. And I'm happy to say that all the commercial banks in India have been brought under this framework. Both in terms of, and what it does is, it makes the banks as well more risk sensitive, because there's a lot of risk related data that this process requires them to generate and provide to RBI, and that's something that hopefully will stand us in good stead. So let me kind of say that, large bank has its own advantages, but from a regulator and supervisor's point of view, it's very important to contain the probability of failure of a systemically important financial entity, and therefore, should that happen, have a framework to deal with that in a manner that the contagion is contained. And that is the kind of framework that RBI has put in place for the GSIBs, and I'm sure that we will, as the rest of the regulatory framework in the world changes, this will also keep undergoing changes. And I'm sure that the GSIBs in India will improve their internal control mechanisms, will have better risk appetite framework, have high quality risk governance, so that they are able to deal with appreciate risk well in advance and deal with them as and when they arise. So let me end by saying that I'm once again very happy to have been here. It was actually a pure fate because I was otherwise supposed to be traveling. Because of the floods in Kerala, I couldn't travel, so I'm here. And I'm happy that I'm able to meet you here. And so let me wish the deliberations all the best and hope at the end of the 2-day conference, we have ideas on how to improve the credit flow and quality of credit flow to MSME sector, and how we as well build a strong and resilient banking system in India. Thank you very much.